Marc Kudisch has delivered countless fantastic turns throughout his illustrious Broadway career, earning Tony nominations for performances in 9 to 5, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and of course, the fan favorite, Thoroughly Modern Millie. Now Kudisch is moving audiences in Conor McPherson's powerful Girl from the North Country. Hear about the audition that led him to his Bye Bye Birdie breakout and more on this week's Show People. Marc Kudisch,
Yeah.
you're finally here. I'm so happy you're here.
Ah, gee, thanks.
You know, it's intimidating talking to someone like you because I almost know too much about you.
You're not intimidated talking to me. Don't even, get out of here.
You do say on your Twitter bio, I'm a talker.
I am a talker. ...
Oh, I know you are. And I love that about you.
Well,
Anyway, welcome.
thanks, dude.
Now you're in Girl from the North Country, which
Yes.
you did at the Public. And
Yes.
so you're sort of back in Duluth.
Happy to be back in Duluth,
Yeah.
Minnesota in 1934. Happy to be back in the Depression.
Back.
Happy to be back in the Depression. But really, I love this piece so much. It is honestly, because again, we've known each other forever, right?
Yeah.
It is one of my, if not in the top 2 favorite things that I've done in the city, period, hands down.
I know. I love that. I love how passionate you are about it.
I am.
But I'm also wondering what the 2, if you're going to pick 2.
I mean, okay, like let's say 3, right? But I mean, I put it up there with, in my opinion, for me, I put it up there with Assassins, with The Wild Party, and with Thoroughly Modern Millie.
Okay.
Like, that's
Okay.
the top shelf for me.
All right. Well, me too. I was just listening to The Wild Party last weekend.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on The Wild Party, Marc Kudisch. That could be the half hour right there.
I know.
But let's talk about Girl from the North Country.
Yeah, please.
Conor McPherson,
Love them.
super talented
Great.
writer, director, took this Bob Dylan catalog and came up with...
Literally, out of nothing, they approached him and they
Right.
offered him the full catalog,
Right.
carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do. And I think initially he sort of was like, I don't know, because I've never done anything with music before.
Mm-hmm.
That said, he is an incredibly talented musician and he has a great ear for music. So he took those songs and he created this completely original, incredibly American story,
Right.
just out of being inspired by Dylan's music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a play, right? I mean, it's a play with music.
It's one of those where we don't know what to call it.
And
but when
that's
it comes
fine.
to Tony time, it's going to be a musical.
Of course, and that's the business side of things.
Right.
But the truth is, the rules to this piece are unique unto itself.
Yeah.
So just come, sit down, and just get into it, because it's a freight train.
Come, sit down, and get into it.
That's it. Just be there,
Marc
be
Kudisch
present.
told you to.
No, but I mean, that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those beautiful pieces. It's so unapologetic, and it's like, it kicks you in the stomach, and you find yourself crying, and you don't even know why.
Mm.
I found myself crying, like one of the first rehearsals we had when we started singing one of the pieces together, Tight Connection in My Heart. And I was like, why am I feeling like this right now? And as Conor, and I agree with him, emotions don't have logic. So don't try to put logic to it. It just feels right.
Let's talk about this guy that you play.
Well,
Talk about the Depression. I mean, he's been hit by it.
well, they've all been hit by it.
Yeah.
It's just, how heavy, have they been hit? And in this particular case, Frank Burke was a very successful businessman from the Carolinas who, along with everyone else in 29 and 30, just lost it all. Just lost it all. And so he and his family, Luba Mason, who plays my wife, and...
Did you ever work with Luba Mason before?
Luba and I have known each other forever, and we've done like benefits and workshops,
feel like
but
you've
we've never done a full
crossed
stage
paths,
production.
sure,
But
yeah.
it's crazy because we've known each other for so
Yeah.
long. It's just a natural fit.
Mm-hmm.
She is one of those brilliantly unique souls that just has her own energy. It's unapologetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, when we get out there, which is just fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And then Todd Almond, who plays our son Elias,
Mm-hmm.
his mind is stuck in a very childish place.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's our particular story in the thread of the bigger play is just that we are a challenged family, just like everyone else, moving through the country, surviving, trying to figure out our lives after you've lost everything. That's what I love about the Depression. It is, in my opinion, the thing that defined the United States as a country, finally. I believe that we as Americans, when things are at their worst, we are at our best. That is when our defining features come out. And the beauty of the Depression was everyone was on the move because you had to be. And because of that, culture, music, literature, ideology was spread out across the country in that particular time. And in our play, you know, it takes place at a boarding house in the middle of Duluth, Minnesota in 34 in the winter. And so these people come together for 2 weeks and they become this makeshift family for that very brief moment of time.
And I love that it's on Broadway. I love the landscape of Broadway. First of all, your resume supports so many different kinds of things. It's amazing just to watch you over the years and see all the different kinds of things that you've been able to do.
Look, I never wanted to just do one thing. I never wanted to just find that niche and go, okay, that's what I'm gonna exploit that now. Because I just don't think that shows, for me, I wouldn't be happy. I just know that. There are a lot of other choices that I could have made that I would have made a hell of a lot more money. But I don't know that I would have been happy. And B, it's all about why are you out there? That's why I'm saying this season, what I've loved about it, Great Society, I loved it because it was important to talk about our politics and our society, what was going on in the 60s and what we're actually dealing with today, and to do those things at the same time. It was not easy. It was a hard play to do just because of the things that were in the play. But we're talking about something and we're talking to the community about it. And that was about politics and society and ideologies and stuff like that. Where Girl is really just getting to the core of human emotion because these people are just trying to survive, man. So it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter your ideology, it doesn't matter your history, your culture, your identity. Everybody's on the same page in this play. We're all just trying to figure it out moment to moment. You don't have the luxury of, this is my 5-year goal. That's gone.
Right.
What you have is now and tomorrow, and that's it. And so that gets to the core of who we are as human beings, which is why I love doing this piece, because it's not about us. As a performer, I think I've realized over the years, I don't care about applause. I don't care about laughter. I don't care if you like me. I really don't. I'm not being paid for you to like me. It's my job to bring the composer and the playwright and all of those people that created the play with the rest of the company to the audience to share ideas, because they have a job to do at the end of the night. And that's why I do it. That's why I think I've always done it, and that's why I really enjoy this piece and I've enjoyed this year so far. I'm not a small talker.
Well, I like you, Marc Kudisch, whether or not you want the audience to like you or not. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Marc Kudisch. We're back with Mr. Marc Kudisch. Is this your 15th Broadway show?
Yeah.
I've lost count. Have you?
I kind of lost count. Someone was asking me I was like, I can't remember all of them. Because, I didn't sing when I got to the city. That wasn't what I did. I was trained as a classical actor. So Broadway was never the goal. When I got to New York, Circle Rep was my goal.
Oh, Circle Rep.
Right?
Down to Sheridan Square.
Yeah, that was my goal. Going out to the ACT to work with William Ball and his rep was my goal.
Yeah, somehow you ended up in Joseph and the Amazing Technical Dream and Bye Bye Birdie and these things.
But with Birdie, I got that gig because of the way I acted the role. It was not because of the way I sung it. I mean, it's not like I didn't have pitch or tone or anything like that. But I was losing my voice at the end of every week when we were on that tour.
Wow.
To the point that Susan Egan, and great advice, said, you need to get a voice teacher. Because she's like, you should not be losing your voice at the end of every week. Nobody else is losing their voice. There's no reason for you to be. Right. And she was right.
I'm sure you got the role for your acting, but you also looked really good as Conrad Birdie, Marc Kudisch.
I got that role because of my acting.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. A lot of people looked really good that were auditioning for that show.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit. You grew up in Florida, right?
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale.
What was the first time you got on stage? How old were you?
High school.
Okay.
I was in high school. I did Freddie Eynsford Hill in My Fair Lady, and I was terrible. But it was because I was in the gifted program. I was in the same class with the same kids from the second grade all the way to graduation. Okay. And my brother was really popular and president of his class. And when I got to high school, I was a freshman, my brother was a junior. We were in 3 classes together. So I was little Kudisch, and like,
Got it.
how embarrassing for your older brother to have your younger brother in the same class with you. So by the time I got to my junior year and my brother had left, and I love my brother, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I always felt like I was just in this very small, sequestered space.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then I just started, so I know it sounds crazy, but like I became a male cheerleader.
You actually did.
I was a male cheerleader. That's how I sort of
That was your way
got
of
out
finding
there. And you'd think
yourself,
that was
and
my way of like becoming social. I became a male cheerleader, but the thing was,
So you were throwing the girls?
Yeah.
Up in the air?
and trust me, I had no strength to be able to throw anybody. But the other guys that were the cheerleaders were like the football players who either had really bad grades or had injury and couldn't play or be a part of it, and they still wanted to be a part of it. So then I got to know those guys, and through those guys and through the female cheerleaders, I had a group of friends for the first time that kind of spilled out in a social way, and then that introduced me. After one of our cheers, one night, my friend Pat Cook, who was the theater director and teacher, said, "You should audition for me for something." And that was the beginning of it.
And look at you now. I've seen you be such a clown, and you were so serious back then. I mean, you're still a serious guy.
I'm serious.
But you have such a clown side to you.
I think, but everybody does. I do. Look, man, I'm a Virgo on the cusp of Libra, if that makes any sense.
Sure. So were you good in any of those high school shows? Did you get
No.
good? You never got good?
I was not good in high school. I was terrible. It was when I got to college.
Okay.
Because the teachers that I had, and because I wasn't in the theater, I didn't realize the teachers that I had. So I'm going to throw some stuff out, and we'll even see if you know some of these names. So when I first got to school, one of my professors was a guy named Joshua Logan. You know who I'm talking about?
I do know Joshua Logan.
This was Josh in like the last year or two of his clarity.
Wow.
Of being present.
Wow.
And I didn't know who he was. So I wasn't fazed by the fact that it was Josh Logan.
Yeah.
Hume Cronin was a teacher with Jessica Tandy for a semester. Zoe Caldwell,
just
God rest,
lost,
I know. She was a teacher of mine for a year.
Amazing.
Then years later, I got to work with her, and we were on stage together, which was just for
What'd
me.
you do with her?
We did Little Night Music together. She was Madame Armfelt.
Right.
This was at New York City Opera.
Right.
And, I played Carl Magnus. And I remember one night we got into this huge fight just about the business in the industry. And we were out, and we were like at dinner with a bunch of people, and she just looked at me and she went, "Oh, Mark, I'm so disappointed in you." And I laughed out loud because I was just like, I'm having a fight with you. It was just the greatest feeling to actually be a peer as opposed to the student-teacher thing. And just, and in truth, she wasn't disappointed. She was wildly proud of me.
Yeah.
But the fact that we could actually argue, and I could argue her. She was amazing, and I'm really sorry that we've lost her. But I had these crazy teachers that I didn't realize the people I was around, which I think was a blessing. Edward Albee was a teacher of mine as well for directing, and I have stories about Edward, man. But again, I didn't know, so I wasn't intimidated. I was just hungry and in the moment and learning.
Right.
And I was realizing at university that I was going to be an actor when I didn't realize I was going to be an actor. So like I was in it with these people, not even going, I'm going to go into the theater. And engaging in a way that it just allowed me not to be intimidated.
So you get out of school, came to New
By the
York,
time I graduated,
did the whole thing. You
24 hours in a U-Haul, man.
Oh, you got a U-Haul and drove
Oh yeah,
up here?
the minute I worked in South Florida for a couple of shows, because even while I was at university, I began working professionally, because in South Florida at that time, strangely, our university shows were being reviewed the same way professional productions were being reviewed. So professional theaters already knew who I was because they were reading reviews of shows that I was in. So that got me into professional theater in and around Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. I got my equity card. The minute I got my equity card, I moved to New York.
Oh, wow. In the U-Haul. And
In
moved
the
into-
U-Haul.
What was your first apartment like?
71st Street between Broadway and Columbus,
Okay.
basement apartment.
Oh.
Me and my
Like
buddy
in Wonderful
Stuart.
Town. You saw their legs walk by.
It was great. $600 a month, man. I moved here with my friends Stuart Clark and Rachel B. Jones.
Wow. Amazing.
And Rachel and I worked together at my university, at Florida Atlantic University. We did picnic together
Oh.
because I had worked with her parents, her parents are actually, they were like big South Florida actors.
Uh-huh.
And she was always in tow. So I met Rachel when she was just sort of in tow.
Amazing.
And then we worked together, and we've never worked together since. But, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. Bye Bye Birdie was your big break. I mean, getting
Bye
that
Bye Birdie
tour.
was my big musical break.
Musical break, right?
Yes.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, and that was a big national tour with
Big
Tommy
national
Tune
tour, yeah.
and Rankin. Yep.
Yeah,
it
with
was
Tommy and Annie and
supposed to come to
Gene.
Broadway. That was like the goal.
Back then, yes,
Yeah.
that was the goal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
back then was the time when national tours were what you did.
Yeah.
You went on the road for 12 to 14 months because that's where you would make the cash.
I just want to hear when you went in for that audition, you like brought your full Elvis. I mean, Comrade Birdie is a version of Elvis Presley. It's
I
inspired
never
by
told
Elvis.
you this. All right, so
You got the hips swiveling and all that.
I had a black leather jacket. First thing I ever bought in New York City was a black leather jacket, just to say, I'm a New Yorker. This is back in 1990, 91. So like I had the black leather boots with the silver tips.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, and
of
like
course.
and like the semi
Yeah,
spurs
of
on the
course,
back.
I know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 91 baby. And I went in and this is what happened. So back then, remember, we used to audition on Broadway stages.
Right. Yeah.
So the final callback is at I think it was the Broadhurst.
Okay.
So and the holding pen for all of the actors is the balcony. So everyone is watching everyone's auditions.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Intimidating.
So I get the call and I'm ready to go. And I come downstairs and I'm going down that long, right?
Yeah.
Right as I get to the seats, Stuart Howard, who was casting it, stops me, looks at me and says, "Whatever you do, don't sing Sincere." And I went, "But that's what I've prepared."
Wow.
And he went, "Don't sing it. Don't sing it. They've been hearing it all day. They don't want to hear it any longer. Sing, I don't know, sing a lot of living to do." And I'm like, "But that's like the choral number. That's not even just don't sing Sincere." "Okay, go."
I can only hear that song so many times in a row.
No shit. But that's the only thing I prepared.
Right.
So I'm walking down the aisle and I walk by and I see the Weislers and I see Tommy and I see Gene. You know, and it's sort of like they're all like in their own separate aisles as I'm going down. And it's literally theater history as you're walking by. I'm 24, man.
Yeah.
I get up on the stage, I walk, and I tell this all the time because I think it's important. I walk up to the accompanist, his name's Brad Garside. Do you know Brad?
Nope.
I walk up to Brad, he looks at me and he goes, "Are you okay?" And because I'm sure I was sweating. And I said, "They told me not to sing Sincere." And he was like, "Well, what did you prepare?" And I said, "Sincere. What the hell else would I prepare?" And he said to me, "Whose audition is this?" And I said, "Mine." And he said, "Yeah, it's yours. Just go sing your damn song." So, swear everything is true. I walk to the center of the stage. I look to Brad. I give him a little nod. And the song is, because it's that first chord, right?
Yep.
Brum. And I sing, "You gotta be sincere." And I see Stuart Howard all the way in the back throw up his hands and literally walk out. And that's how my audition started.
You were just like, I just screwed this up.
Well, but in my head, I was like, look, I'm on a Broadway stage. I've never been on one before.
Right.
This is likely the first and last time I'm going to sing this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm on a stage on Broadway. If this is the only time I'm ever on a Broadway stage, I'm either going to be in it or I'm not. So I just did it, and I just threw abandon to the wind because I thought there's nothing for me to lose here. So I started to have fun.
Yeah.
And I could see that they were having fun. And I mean, I just let myself go. And at the end of it, they were all applauding, and everyone in the balcony was applauding. And I
nice.
was like, it was the biggest rush. And then I just grabbed my music and I ran as fast as I could to the wings. And then I heard Gene Sachs go, "Mark, come back." So I walked back out onto the stage and he was like, "You want to read?" And for me, I'm like, that's what I do. I'm not a singer, I'm an actor. And I said, "Yes." And then I did the scenes. And by that point, I was like, I can't lose now.
Yeah.
And later that day, I got the call, and everything changed after that.
I know. 15 Broadway shows
But I mean,
later.
like, it's just a good lesson that sometimes you just got to trust your instincts,
yeah.
even when everyone else is saying not to.
Yeah. All right. I love it. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back with more Marc Kudisch. are back with one of my favorites, Mr. Marc Kudisch.
Thank you.
I mean, honestly, I just always love seeing you on stage. I love so many things you've done. One side note I want to make about Bye Bye Birdie. You also were in that TV Bye Bye Birdie, which recently popped up on Amazon. I was so happy. I got to watch it again.
Yeah.
You were great in that.
I love that
I mean, it was
show.
early on for those TV musicals.
Very early on. For
really
that.
early, yeah. But you got
And
to
it was
preserve
great.
it.
Yeah, and it was also Gene directed that.
Yeah.
So to work with Gene again was great. Annie, who I had done, had played Rosie on the Road, choreographed it.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like this fun thing of the three of us, particularly, like coming together after having this huge relationship with it.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was this. I got a call from Tommy, and he said, "Look, ABC's interested in doing a television version of Bye Bye Birdie. They've asked me to sort of cuddle together a reading of it."
Oh, okay.
And I said, "I want to ask you," and Susan did it, and and then they brought in some actors or whatever, and we did it over at Sardi's. And I think initially they were intending on having Harry Connick play Birdie.
Interesting.
And then at the end of the read, Tommy came up to me and he's like, "I think you might have just gotten a job."
Oh.
And then we got a call, and we just got a straight offer to play Birdie because they said, we don't need a name for Conrad. Conrad should be the name.
Sure, yeah.
So they liked me, and they thought, you'll be Birdie. People will relate to you as Birdie.
Sorry, Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah,
where's that guy?
It's been really tough for him, hasn't it? But what's interesting is then we shot it in Vancouver, and I'm not kidding you. When I would be on set or in or around, people would call me Mr. Birdie. Like people from the area would say, "Mr. Birdie," like I was Conrad Birdie to them.
I love that.
Which proved the point. But yeah, it was great. It was great to do that because we didn't do an album from the tour, but then by the time we did the film, I was singing a lot better. I had really begun training, seriously training. So by the time we got to record that album, I was actually really prepared to sing it.
Right. And you'd already done Broadway at that point. Were you Gaston?
Oh yeah, I was Gaston at that time.
Yeah, you were a fantastic Gaston.
Thank you. I loved.
That was a good role for you at that point.
At that point, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
what's so interesting when you look at your career. It's so interesting all the things you've done in it. When you have a theater life like you do, it's almost like your life goes along with the roles a little bit, right? And you.
I think it's all about the choices that you make. Like I never wanted to go to LA. I never wanted to go to LA. Not at that period of time. Like.
You're getting great TV work in New York now. I mean, which
now,
is great.
right?
Now you're sort of.
But it's interesting because back then, if you wanted to do television or film, you really did have to be in Los Angeles.
Right.
And after I did Birdie, we were getting calls from Los Angeles. And Beauty had offered me to take over the role of Gaston. Burke was leaving finally Los Angeles. Burke Moses, who originated it on Broadway, who I took over for. And then when he was leaving LA, they offered me Gaston in LA because everyone thought I would want to go there anyway.
Right. And all the Hollywood people would come
because we were getting film offers and stuff off of that. And I said, no, I want to be on Broadway. If I'm going to get that kind of work, I want to get it out of New York City because stage was what I was interested in doing. As I got older and as I had done a lot of different stuff, because it was just about the roles. And I'm a character actor and I always have been a character actor. And you got to fight that linear vision that people have. People would say, "Oh, you're a leading man." No, I'm not. I'm a character actor. Everything I've done is character, which is why it's been so, I think, it's had such variety because I'm always the third or fourth banana. My biography will be called "And Marc Kudisch" because that's what I do, and that's what I prefer doing.
I don't know, a lot of people talk about that banana, though. You've gotten a lot of attention for those third or fourth banana guy roles. And Tony nominations and
but I think because of that, I was never put into. It's very easy to typecast, right? So the minute I did Gaston, everyone just thought that's who he is.
Right.
Before that, I was a '50s rock and roller. So for me to get into a more classical, and I was training operatically and everything at that point in time. So for me to be seen for those classical roles took so much effort. And then I got in there, and now that's all anyone thinks you are. I would say the big, dumb, funny. So then I immediately wanted to go away from that. Because now I'm wanting to audition for plays, which is what I did in New York when I first got here when no one wanted to hear me sing. And now no one thinks I can do a play because I'm a musical theater actor.
Right.
And then, knock on wood, I bump into Michael John LaCusa on the subway, who introduces himself to me on the subway and says, we're doing this show called The Wild Party, and there's a role in it that you're really not the right type for, but you're the right actor for. And I'd really like for you to come in and audition. And I had been offered Andrew's Wild Party.
Oh, the competing Wild Parties.
Which I thought was actually a great thing. But I turned it down, and not that I didn't love it, but he wanted me to play essentially what I considered to be like big, dumb, funny kind of a character. He was comic relief, Eddie, in his. And I just didn't want to get trapped that way.
Boxer, okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, Michael Johns in playing Jackie was so off the mark.
Jackie, yeah.
Of what anyone had seen me do and what I'd been given the opportunity to play.
Very dark.
Very dark, very out there. And that sort of cemented the fact that, oh, I'm not just this type. I can actually play different kinds of characters. And then off we went into Characterland, which was just my blessing. And I think it's why I've had the opportunity to do so many shows, because I can, it's not about my age, it's about character. So as my career has gone, my work has gotten darker and darker, because I just think that just keeps me on an even keel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to keep cheering for you.
Well,
I'll still
I
be the
appreciate
guy
that.
hooting and hollering, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Everyone needs to go see Girl from the North Country.
See it.
At the Belasco Theater, the potentially haunted Belasco Theater.
No, not potentially.
It is.
That sucker's haunted.
Thank you. I can't wait to see what's next. I can't wait to see the next 15 shows. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.